And good evening. Footy is back, and aren't we rapt to have it back? Welcome back to the GameFace Footy Show for season 2021, and we're going to be talking plenty of footy, which is exactly what we want after, of course, last year's season ruined by COVID. We haven't had any footy on the peninsula for 18 months, bar a couple of practice matches before the season was called off last year. And we welcome our sponsors for season 2021, Frankston RSL, HP and CP Electrical Australia, also Jeff Wignall Ford and Growth Syndicates Australia. Eliminate your mortgage, create more wealth and boost your super. My name is Dan Lonigan, with me Wayne Capp and Chris Holcomb. Welcome, boys. Great to have you back. And, boys, we're going to be talking footy and we can't wait for that.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, can't wait. It's I remember sitting here last year and we were wondering what we were going to do, if there was going to be any footy, and eventually it didn't happen. But now we know what's going to happen this weekend. We're back.
It seems so long ago, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And even back when we were having competitive footy, we've been out to watch a few scratchies and all that sort of stuff, and that gets your juices flowing. I've never seen so much of a crowd at scratchies. It's just been phenomenal. So we can't wait to rip in the first round,
and
mate.
It's going to be a very warm weekend.
Beautiful.
Good Friday 28, and they reckon Easter Saturday 30. Our match of the day, and we'll talk more about it a bit later, in Division 1 is Sorrento and Rosebud and Cappy, the Dave McFarlane Reserve at Sorrento. And Sorrento will be pumping anyway. The place for the rich and famous Sorrento and Portsea. There'll be lots of rich and famous people at the footy we hope on Saturday. It'll be a massive crowd.
Oh, it'll be fantastic down there. And as you say, it's good, the Easter, everyone, all the holiday makers down there, it'll be a chock-a-block, that place, and it'll be great to be there.
You'll have to head down early.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
No doubt. I mean, Dramana would be big, of course, for the unfurling of the flag against Red Hill, the new First Division club, on Friday as well. And there's a few Second Division games as well. Now, let me explain the show moving forward, guys, for the year. We will, not tonight, but we will, from next week onwards, have a separate Division 1 and Division 2 show. The most valuable team will be back, a hit during 2020. MVT will feature a team of the week each week, selected by the panel. In-depth, wait for this, in-depth statistical analysis of every game with GameFace's partnership with Premier Data, and this is going to transform local football. No doubt about that. Top performances and plays of the week with an abundance of highlights and weekly guests regularly from around the MPNFL. But tonight it's the season preview edition, so we'll look at both divisions in one show. And there was a game of footy last week as a lot of the local cricket finals came to an end, and that was the Pearcedale and Devon Meadows match, of which Pearcedale went down to Devon Meadows at the Tractor Reserve. I love the name of the ground. Look at that first quarter, guys. 14 goals in the opening term. Would have been great to watch.
It would have been. And, that first game of footy on the peninsula for, a year and a half, 20 months. And that first quarter would have been great, and the crowd there were really treated to some great footy.
A few good performances in there too, Dan.
Yeah, there was. Now, Devon Meadows got over the line, Holtz, 14-12-96 to 12-10-82. I like little Luke Daniel, one of the under-19 boys from Pearcedale, kicked 3. Looks like a really good player up forward, and Hamish McLeod was a big presence up forward for Devon Meadows. Joel Hillis, one of the best players in Second Division, had a great game. We'll look at some highlights shortly. And Cruz West also had a good game, 26 touches for the Pearcedale side. Now, Lockie Batten's the big recruit for Devon Meadows from Doveton, who won the First Division in the Outer East Comp in 2019. Quiet day, just 6 touches, kicked a couple of goals. But once he works it all out, Cappy, I think he'll be a really handy player for Devon Meadows.
Yeah, Lockie's a great footballer, and he's played for Eddie Asp and back at Doveton, and as you say, he's finding his feet. He's got a new club, and he would have been tagged, I would imagine. And if he's kicked a couple of goals, he's contributed to their win. Cruz West. That's the best name I've heard in local footy for a while.
It's a great name, isn't it?
I think Lockie got injured too during that second quarter, so I don't think he played much in that second half. But he's going to be a huge pickup. I thought probably Devon would have come on a little bit stronger with the recruits that they picked up, and probably the gap would have been a little bit further. But Pearcedale, to their credit, it's a couple of years ago, they were really getting smacked about. That's a really good start for Pearcedale.
But of course, that year they also made the under-19 finals, and they won a final. So they've got some kids coming up, so maybe they could be a bit better than we anticipate with those kids coming through.
Yeah.
Now, Joel Hillis was the star, was the GameFace player of the round, 30 disposals. Looking at some of the highlights now, 11 clearances, 7 inside 50s, 166 rankings points. He's a terrific young player. Look at this for a kick. This is an outstanding kick where he pulls it across the body and finds a teammate. That is elite.
Well, that's a very nice kick.
And this piece of play here where he beats an opponent and then goes to ground and pretends to lose the ball and then kick it around the body. He is a fine
It'll be
young
good
player.
fun. Good fun being a leading forward with him coming up the ground to you. He feeds the ball in really nice and puts it in front of him. So, they're going to kick a lot of goals with it, guys like that doing their job.
Well, talking of leading forwards, the Frankie Media player in focus for this week, there'll be a player in focus every week in first and second division for the show, guys, is Hamish McLeod of Devon Meadows. This is the type of coverage, as I said, you can expect in the MPNFL with advanced statistics thanks to Premier Data, plus more highlights than you've ever seen before. Now, McLeod kicked 4 goals, and as I said, he is our player in focus this week. Let's have a look at what he did. Great to have footy back with the first match of the season. Pearcedale and Devon Meadows. Great mark taken by McLeod of Devon Meadows. Lovely kick inside 50 by Hillis helped. Now a left foot shot at goal on an acute angle by McLeod. He's deadly. He's put it through. An important goal. As he's on a lead now, McLeod, and takes the mark miles out in front of his Pearcedale opponent. He runs around. He snaps on the left and he kicks a great goal. Having a big influence, Hamish McLeod. On the first day of the season, he's now in the ruck, and he does well to tap it down and give his on-ballers first use. Now he's kicking for his third, again on an acute angle, right on the siren and puts it through. Goes down to the forward line now. McLeod picks it up magnificently, snaps over the shoulder and kicks his fourth. Well, he might become the big forward that they're looking for with Michael Theodoriadis. Yes, moving on. Now they've got Hamish McLeod as their big forward at Devon Meadows, and he showed some good signs there, Kathy.
Yeah, he looked good. Very impressive.
Now let's look at the season preview overall with Division 2, despite a game getting underway last week, thanks to Frankston RSL. And did you know, guys, that at the Frankston RSL of this week, one of their many TV screens will have live coverage on Saturday of GameFace's match of the day, of which former Western Bulldogs and Gold Coast star Jared Grant, who will be playing with the Frankston Bombers when their season gets underway next week, he'll be joining us in commentary. They will have a live coverage on one of their big screens at the Frankston RSL this Saturday, and it might be an opportunity for other RSLs in the area and other bars and businesses to consider doing the same thing. But the Frankston RSL are leading the charge with that this week.
Yeah, don't go to other RSLs, go to Frankston. It's the best joint around.
You're a shocker.
Oh, no, that's. I was just also encouraging other RSLs to get involved as well. But the Frankston RSL is the one, and they are certainly leading the trend for RSLs on the peninsula.
If I don't go down there Saturday, I might even venture the RSL. They got a tab there?
They've got everything.
Sure they do. They've got everything. Righto, well, let's look at our predictions and why, boys. We'll start with the great Wayne Cap first. Division 2 predictions.
Oh,
Cappy? Ins and outs, Dan. We'll go to ins and outs first, and then we'll come back to our predictions. Thank you very much.
First night nerves, Dan. First night nerves.
Yes. We'll get there. Now, Chelsea, 2019 finish was 5th. Their ins are Scott McLeod, a multiple premiership player at Frankston YCW, Rory Gregg from Dramana, and Jonathan Tobin from Seaford. Their outs are Josh Hargraves, Kurum Barabina, Reece Henschel to South Mandurah in WA, Sam Nicholas, who's been a good player for a long time, to Lakes Entrance, and Andrew Silva Mullamain. Plus, they've lost a couple of players who they did have as big recruits in Heasley and also Harry Whitty, who came from Rye, and they've headed to Old Hailbury. They didn't get to play a game last year in 2020.
Well, like Heasley, you can't even factor in. He didn't play, so it's not a loss really. I like the inclusion of Scooter. He'll bring experience that they need, and he'll bring a lot of grunt around the midfield. I expect them to be fighting for a final spot this year, and maybe more. Who knows?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of them on Saturday against Frankston Bombers. They were reasonably disappointing, but Bombers we expect to have a really good year. The biggest thing, and we'll talk about it tonight a couple of times, is going to be depth. Having the year off, you're going to have a lot of soft tissue injuries. You're going to have people missing a lot of games. You're going to have a lot of depth. Looking on Saturday, I don't know if Chelsea have got a huge amount of depth in their side. Their top line player is pretty good, but it'd be interesting to see if they can keep everyone on the park.
Now, Crib Point, they were 11th in 2019. Steve Hamill's the coach. The father of Will is going brilliantly for the Adelaide Crows. Great to see him back after his concussion last year. Made a good start to the season in the AFL. Zach DeCluver and Brad Arnold will be their captains. Their ins, among them Wade Symes from Turin and Delmore, Jake Cronin, Brad Arnold is back, James Cook, Jyden Brooks, Nathan Allen, and among the outs, Miles Jamison, Matt Collette, and Ash Van Hattem. I expect them to keep improving, Crib Point.
We were really happy with the way that they'd sort of structured up with Stevie Hamill at top, and they had a good under-19s come through, so they've got a lot of good kids there, and they'll still progress. I don't think they'll push top 5, but I think you'll see a bit of progression from them this year.
Oh, for sure, and they'll be pushing sides, that are pushing for the finals, so they'll have a big say in what happens at the end of the year, I'm sure.
Devon Meadows, well, we've seen them have a win to kick off the season. They finished 9th in 2019. Neil Craig's their coach, Tim Saunders their captain. We've mentioned Lockie Batten from Doveton, Aaron Johns from Belgrave, a good inclusion. Isaac Barassi kicked a couple of ripping goals. Big name in footy, Barassi from Doncaster. Brody McConnell from Beaconsfield and Rowan Nanya from Greenvale. Paddy Harms, James's brother's gone to Poowong, and Michael Theodoriadis has headed down the highway to Druin.
No,
Big loss.
Last time you'll say his name this year, probably.
Theodoriadis.
Yeah. Oh, there we go again. Yeah. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, look, Devon Meadows. He'd love to start the year with 4 points. I don't know where they sit themselves, but they're probably around that middle of the table in Division 2. It's Neil Craig's second or third, maybe second year.
Yeah.
Second year we're going to help him out as well. And Lockie Batten is he's a Div 1 player. He's a very good player.
Yeah.
Now, Hastings have got a new coach, Clint Ironsendale, who's got a great record in the Southern Football League and also had success with Cooey Rupp as well, winning a premiership. The captain's Luke Hewitt. They didn't have a great year. I thought they should have done a bit better in 2019, finishing 7th. Tom Backman joins them from Bentley. Obviously, with his background, Ironsendale has got a lot of players from the Southern Football League boys. Nathan Gray's back, the premiership player. He's returned from East Malvern. Heath Nash from Mohu and Dylan Wilson from Wangaratta Magpies, whose father did play some games at Hastings. The outs include Brendan Favola to Deer Park. Gee, where are they finding the money? Todd Elton to Deer Park. Ricky Ferraro to Hepburn in the Central Highlands Football League, of which GameFace will be involved in that as well. Dylan Pelberg, Turin and Delmore, and Chris Maloney, Chelsea Heights.
I had a chat to John Murphy, their assistant coach, during the week, and they're really happy with how they're going this year. They're happy with their recruits. There'll be a new game style then, which was advertised during the week, but they'll have a new game style. They may have been a little bit top heavy last year, but they're really going to be running on top of the ground. And the new coach is settling in well. Ironsendale, he's made a really good impression.
Got a really good record, Ironsendale.
Yeah. They love him down there, and I'm expecting big things from Hastings.
Deer Park wouldn't have paid too much for Toddy Elton, would they? Hey.
Well, Fev's 40, isn't he?
They apparently get the audit right every year.
Did Todd get a few touches a couple of years ago? Did he get a few touches, did he?
Oh, I thought he struggled a bit, didn't he?
Well, there we go. So I wouldn't be paying him overs. There you go. Save some coin.
Well, I don't think they will. But anyway, that's the story for another day. HP and CP Electrical Australia looking after this segment on the GameFace Footy Show. You're a shocker, Chris Holcomb. You're throwing little hand grenades in left, right and centre. To Coringal now, Luke Forsyth, the coach, Dale Larness, the captain. They've finished 2019 second. They did really well to make the grand final. Few ins, Jack Harms, Beaconsfield. Tom Curran, who played a bit of AFL footy at St Kilda's, come back from Claremont. He'll be a good player for them. Sam Glenn, Old Peninsula. Jordan Pomeroy, Old Peninsula. Ash Collins and Matt Blair, who were on the periphery of the University Blues VAFA First Division or Premier Division Premiership team a couple of years ago. The outs, Mark Holt, Cranbourne. Luke Van Ray retired. Andy Mathers, Red Hill, some big names. Ryan Davey, Cranbourne. Cal Dixon, Morty Alec. Dylan Gregson, Morty Alec. Nathan Valella has gone to Coralyn and Jake Kelly to Tyab. Most of those guys were first pick players in that grand final side. They've lost a lot of players.
That doesn't read well.
No.
It doesn't read well for them, but I like Tom Curran coming in. That'll straighten them up a little bit. I don't think they'll play finals.
No, well,
No, I don't
no,
think they
no.
will.
Well, Jordan Pomeroy is another tall. He's 6'3", 6'4". Sam Glenn can play footy, so they've got a few ins, but you cannot replace Holt, Van Ray, Mathers, and especially down back, Cal Dixon, Dylan Gregson. That is huge.
Yeah, massive.
So I'd heard a few rumours that they were probably going to be backwards on what they were last year. Until I got here tonight and had a look at this, I thought, oh, they're in a little bit of trouble. So I don't know, to go from a grand final and probably not can play
But
finals.
what about playing all the kids who've been so good in keeping them up near the top in the under-19s? They need to go down that path, don't
They have to.
Yeah.
So
And you'd hope that Luke Forsyth will do that.
Lukey's a good operator.
Oh, he's
Lukey's
terrific.
a champion bloke. And I'm sure that he's got them well drilled, but have they got the talent now on the field to be able to push that top 5?
No, I don't think so.
Not sure about that. Lang Warren, co-coaches again, Josh Beard and Blake McCormick for the third year. Blake Harkness is their captain. 2019 they finished third. Mark Bagley's the big in from Essendon. Ryan Smythe from Dramana. Nick Tuddenham, Balmain Tigers. Cooper DeMurlo from Mount Eliza. Kai Whitford from Dramana. Billy Rolfe's a big out. He's going down to Lauderdale in Tasmania. Good luck to him. And Corey Moore off to Emerald. They're going to be right up there, I would have thought.
I like the inclusion of Nick Tuddenham. He's an ex-Langy boy as well, but he's a great player. Billy Rolfe's going to be a real big miss. They've got Tim McGuinness has actually done a big injury on the weekend in a practice match.
Has he?
Yeah, he's big chance to miss a fair chunk of the first half of the season.
What's he done?
Done a knee. So
Not a Rico.
we don't know yet. So that's bad news.
Well, he's probably their best player. Isn't
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
So, you know, like a lot now will fall back on Bagley to carry the load a bit. And Lang Warren did really rely, I thought, on Timmy last year. And with him out now, I reckon that's going to be a struggle for him. He'll probably be back in the back half of the year, but, you know.
They've got to put Wint on the board early.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to disagree. I think,
I thought you would.
like we talked about before, with having depth, I reckon second division sides this year are void of depth. I reckon they've got
You think
10,
they've got
12.
depth?
No, yeah, I reckon the rest of the competition doesn't, and I reckon Langy does. They're
Because they
second-
won the reserves flag?
Well, they've had
Well,
seconds
that's
and thirds
big.
for years and
Yeah.
years and years. So if they do have 3 or 4 injuries that go down, they can cover them and still win games and get their side back at the end of the year. I don't think these other sides have that capability, which is why I think Langy.
But can they
finish
cover
on.
a loss of an A-grader like McGuinness
Well,
with someone, an under-19 kid coming in? No.
well, it's not many Mark Bagleys that can run around.
No.
And I reckon that what they dished out 2 years ago will fix up most sides here.
Tuddenham is a good in too, you're right, Cappy.
Yeah,
He'll
oh,
be very
definitely.
handy for them as well.
They had a lot of young talent too 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Like they had some key defenders that were really good. They got Big Red, who's one of the best ruckmans in the comp. So, and they've got Jesse Murphy up forward. So they've got a lot of talent. And if you look at all the sides over second division, there's not a huge spread.
You're exactly right. But whether they win it remains to be seen. But Tim McGuinness is a watch this space as to how serious that injury is. Mornington down into second division for the first time. The captain, Simon Goosey. Sorry, the coach, Simon Goosey. He'd love to be the captain. The captain's Chris Baker. And, of course, they finished bottom in first division to be relegated in 2019. They've got Bryce Dinger joining from Noble Park.
Good name.
Great name. Matthew North from Baldwin. Big centre half forward. Cooper Elliott from Wangaratta. Nash Kirk from WA. James Cameron's back from Queensland. Trent Addard from Mount Eliza. Josh Harrington from Mount Eliza. The only outs, Michael McGowan going to Ride.
Show me the money.
Now, I think
Jesus.
that Mornington will be right in the mix.
I do too. And James Cameron's a big in. And, you know, Mornington will have a bit to prove this year. You know, they'll come out swinging, I reckon.
Yeah?
Yep. Oh, without a doubt.
Rightio.
Are they under pressure, Hawks?
Of course they are.
Because they've never gone down?
Of course they are. They've had a good year, haven't they? The cricket club didn't go down for 125 years and just got relegated. And the footy club hadn't gone down for 100 years and just got relegated. So it's a buzzing town at the moment, mate. But look, they're up against it. They haven't... The names that you see through there, Jimmy Cameron, yes. And I would love Jimmy Cameron to have a full year. I know he hurt himself in a practice game. So what I want to see is get 16 games out of Jimmy Cameron would be awesome.
Yeah.
And that'll put him up. Warwick Miller, I don't know if he's going to play a full year. Jackson Calder's come back, and we saw his final series for anyone that didn't see in the Northern Territory.
Brilliant.
He kicked 6, 7, and another 6 in the grand final for St Mary's. So he's going to be huge.
How much will that help? considering he's just had a season of footy.
Well, they've got to get the ball to him for a start. So, I mean, Mornington's on a big ground, but you can swarm back pretty easily. Mornington, again, you need depth, and I don't know how much. They've got a lot of kids, so that's where they're going to have their major issues.
I think they'll be right in the mix, my personal opinion. Now, Pearsdale, coach Justin Hamilton, nicknamed Boris. Captain Dave Hussey, not the cricketer. They were bottom in 2019. They were okay on the weekend, as we've discussed. Jaden Cole, Lang Warren in. Chris Brooking, Morty Alec played pretty well on the weekend. Bade Mate from Lang Warren. Hope I've got that surname right. M-A-T-E. The outs are Max Gearon Cranbourne, Mitch Lindsay Cranbourne, Reese Tyford, Chelsea Heights. Can they rise off the bottom?
Look, they'd be wrapped with what they did on the weekend. And, you know, all summer they've been talking, for the last year, they've been talking about what they've got in their under-19s and what they're bringing up. And I reckon what they did on the weekend really would give them some good feelings about what's going to happen in this season. And, you know, it's going to be, but they won't be bottom. So the way they performed on the weekend, they'll be winning a few games.
He'll be bottom then.
Oh, well, no one at this stage. No one.
No one.
No.
So you're sitting on the fence and pulling the splinters out.
Well, I'm not going to kick my boots into someone early in the season. I'll wait after round 4 to spew up on someone.
That's fair enough.
Don't want to make enemies this early.
No. Well, we've already made some enemies, I would have thought, tonight with some of our predictions. But anyway, that's what we're here for. Opinions all have backsides. We've all got one.
Ooh, that's silly.
The coach is Adam Kirkwood. Captain, Tyrone Head. They didn't have a great year in 2019, finishing 8th. Their ins are Oscar Whitty from Merbein, Jake Russell from Baruga, Corey Wood from Red Hill, Boston Closter, love that name, from Balan in the Central Highlands League, and Michael McGowan, a good pickup, as Chris said, from Mornington. They're outs nil. Can they rise a bit?
They had a hit out against Eddie Asp, I think, last weekend, and by all reports, that wasn't a bad effort. I think Eddie Asp got the points, but you know, Rye wouldn't have been wrapped with 2019, and you know, I always feel like they're gonna come and rise, and you know, I don't know. I've got them outside the 5 this year.
Yeah, so
I think, they're outside that bracket of those teams pushing for top 5, so they'll be down. They won't be bottom.
No. You don't think they'll be bottom?
They won't be bottom.
Right.
But
we haven't got a bottom yet. So at this stage, we've got equal 11th. Now, Seaford, coach Zach Vansittart, captain Rourke Fisher. And by the way, talking of coaches, Brad Canavan and Paul Goonan. Brad Canavan of Somerville watching. Paul Goonan of Frankston YCW watching. Good on you guys. Great to have you with us. 2019, they finished 6th. Tim Broom had a big pickup from Collingwood. His AFL career ruined by injury, but can play. Macklin Rain, who Cabby knows a bit about, spent time at YCW last year, Drysdale in the Ballerine Football League down near Geelong. Justin Lachlan up of Ferntree Gully. The out, Jackson Mockett has gone to Warrigal Industrials.
I'm liking what Seaford have done.
I am too.
Macklin...
is that Odor? Is that the guy from Game of Thrones that used to play at YC?
Yeah. Macklin went to Hyatt, actually, and played down there. Yeah, but right. I reckon he's a good inclusion. With Macklin, he's probably got to work on his what he does off the ball rather than his ruck work's fantastic. When he was with us, I was always into him about getting to the next contest and stuff. So the problem with Macklin may be that opposition ruckman may run off him, but he's a good inclusion. He played in a premiership for us. He's an excellent young man and a great player. Broomhead, what a great inclusion.
If he can stay fit.
Yeah, well, you just got to assume he will, and they're going to be great. I reckon they've got a lot of upside.
They sure do. Now, Somerville, coach Brad Canavan, captain Rowan Hogenberg. Great season, great end of the season in 2019 to finish 4th. The ins, Lachlan Williams, Frankston Dolphins, Brett Sutton, Frankston Bombers, Trav Bravo, Pearsdale. The outers, Mullen, who's gone to Doveton. He was going to be there, one of the stars from the Southern Football League, but he's gone to Doveton in the Outer East, who are in the Premier Division after winning the flag in First Division a couple of years ago when Matty Boyd played such a crucial role in that team. Prediction is top 4. I've got them a bit higher than that. We'll get to our prediction shortly, but... they look like they've topped up nicely. Mullen would have been just the icing on the cake for mine.
Lockie Williams, a huge inclusion.
He is.
He's got leadership. He's a classy player. Ex-YCW. He's played in the premiership for us as well. He's Frankston Box Hill. He's done it all. He's the recruit of the year for Somerville, in my opinion.
Has he played in a premiership for us or a premiership for Frankston YCW?
Frankston YCW.
You're in the media now, Cappy.
Sorry, mate.
You're right. You're right.
They're in it up to their eyeballs. They were with YC the whole way in that last practice catch. You can take whatever you want out of practice games, but there's not too many second division sides that could run with a pretty strong YC side and have level pegging with them for most of the day. They're going to be right in it.
Now, Tyab have recruited pretty well, but they've lost 2 key players. Jake Anderson to Poowong, Braden Pitcher to Launceston. The Inns, Josh Riddle, Greensborough Northern Football League. Jaden Duran, North Beach from WA. Cameron Taylor, Heidelberg West in the Northern Football League. Ben Fitzgerald returning from overseas. Blake Simpson, Jake Kelly, Zane Murdanovic, Levi Dixon and Matt Burnett, all from Coringal, the Darren Price connection there. Of course, he was coach of the women's team a couple of years ago and they won the premiership in 3rd Division.
Tyre won't be the worst in it, but I can't see them pushing finals. I reckon they're just under those teams that are hovering around that 5 spot.
I've got a bit of a surprise for you in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Looking forward to it.
Yes.
Thanks for that, Dan.
What do you think, Cavi?
I think the same. I reckon 7th, 8th. You know, they've got some good... Jake Kelly's a good player from Coringal. That's a nice inclusion. They're going to be a lot better than they have been, and they'll be very optimistic about what they're going to do.
Great to have Jeff Wignall Ford, of course, one of our key sponsors as well at Hastings, Mornington, and also Frankston. We thank all our sponsors for being part of our show tonight. Frankston, RSL, HP and CP Electrical Australia. We mentioned Jeff Wignall Ford, and of course, Growth Syndicates Australia. Let's look at the predictions now. We've all been waiting for this with bated breath. I sort of gave a little bit of a clue earlier on. Cappy, take us through your Division 2 predictions.
All right, well, I'll stop. Top 5, I've gone for Mornington, Somerville, Langwarrin, Chelsea and Seaford.
I'm comfortable with that?
Oh, no. Anything could happen. Anything could happen. Look, I'm tipping Mornington to win the flag, right? I know we're in March, so it's a pretty long shot. But my reasons for that are that Mornington were super competitive in Division 1 last year, riddled with injuries, won a lot of games, run a lot of teams close. They've got some really good players, well coached. They've got a point to prove, as most teams do. But I think if they can have a good run with injuries, with the players they brought in, they'll be hard to beat.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. They'll be right in the mix for mine.
Yeah.
Holtz?
All right.
Still
and then I've gone. I reckon the playoff will be with Somerville in the grand final.
The reason I've picked Somerville is I love what they did in 2019. I reckon they play for their coach.
They do.
They're
so passionate.
They're a great outfit, and I've got a lot of time for that club. I've gone for the league medal in Todd Gardner.
Yes.
He's been around, does it every week. He picks up votes. He picks up a million possessions. He picks up votes for fun, and I reckon he'll be hard to beat in a side that'll be. He won't have a lot of players taking votes off him. I reckon Chelsea will be around the 5th, 6th mark, and so he'll be really good. And Jackson Calder, I think, is a lay down misère to win the goal kicking.
How many could he kick?
80 to 100.
Yep. You reckon he could?
Yeah. But he's kicking 6s, 7s and 6s on blokes that used to play on AFL lists.
Yes, correct.
Last year when they were
it was a great comp up there this year.
He's going to kick a couple of really big bags.
When they were struggling in Division 1, he was still kicking 3 or 4 goals with very limited opportunities. So
he had a very good year.
He's a great player, and I think that's going to be a better than evens money odds for him winning that.
Thank you, Cappy.
No
we'll
worries.
see how you go. Now, Holtz, your turn.
Oh, here we go. Ooh, drum roll, Russ.
No.
Langwarrin, Summy will play in the grand final. I'm pretty confident of that. Then I think there's a bit of a gulf between them and the rest of the field. So you got Seaford, Chelsea, Mornington.
You don't like Mornington, do you, at the moment?
No, I don't not like. I love Mornington. They're my club. But I'm a realist, and they haven't got any depth, and they haven't picked up anyone of any note. And I think that they won't run with... And I've seen Summy play, and I saw Langy play 2 years ago, and I don't think they'll get near those two.
I believe the centre-half forward from Baldwin, and Rocketee wasn't happy when he left, is a good player.
Yeah, it was.
Matthew North.
Yes, good player. But
good comp, the Eastern Football League, top division.
I just don't think that they'll they'll be around the mark, but they won't really push that leg line at Summy, I don't think. But Seaford will have a good year. Chelsea, they don't need any injuries or they could slip. I think that next little gulf down is a little bit of a worry. But I think Langy have got the best list in the comp, and I think they'll win the flag. I think Baggers will win the medal. I think he's head and shoulders the best player in that comp going through it, and I think they'll win enough games. Chelsea, I don't think will win enough games for Toddy to get over the line, but I think Baggers will stand out there. And Jacko, as we spoke about with the goal kicking, we'll do it on the bit.
Yes, so I think he'll have a very good year. Now, my top 5, I think Somerville will win the flag. I think they've topped up nicely, as I mentioned earlier. I think they'll play Mornington in the grand final. I'm still not 100% convinced about Langy. I know they're not far away. I know they've finished, third in 2018, winning 2 finals. They finished third in 2019. They won the first final and dropped the next 2. And maybe they're ready, but I just think Mornington might just get in the granny ahead of them, but Somerville clearly the best side. Seaford will improve, and I think Tyab, it was a toss of the coin really. I've decided that I think they can just make the finals, although Anderson and Pitcher are big losses for them. The league medal, I love Paul Fermanis. I think he can poll enough best on grounds despite Somerville having a good year with that big body. And goal kicking, Jesse Murphy just over Jackson Calder, but I think it'll be a real shootout between those two.
I don't think the comp's as strong as it was the last couple of times that we've played. That's why I reckon Langy are ahead of where you've got them, mate.
So you think they're head and shoulders above the rest?
I do. No, I don't think they're even with Summy, but I think that the competition hasn't improved. I think it's sort of stagnated a little bit in the second division.
Righto. Well, let's have a look at the tips for this week, and we'll have a weekly tally as well. And the tips will also be in the game day record for Division 2. We already have had one game played with Pearsdale going down to Devon Meadows. Tyab and Rye.
Tough one first up.
It is.
Yeah. Good Friday.
I'll throw in Tyab. I reckon they've got a lot to play for.
Nip,
Yabbies will be out and out.
Tyab at home.
Yep, nip.
Mornington and Coringle.
Mornington at home, I think. Coringle have been decimated with departures.
Same here.
So I think Mornington.
Coringle will like the fact that everyone's writing them off.
Yeah.
Backs against the wall, but I still think Mornington
Hopefully
will
they prove us wrong. That'd be fantastic.
That'll be great. That'll be a huge crowd down there. That'll be fantastic.
Big game at Lloyd Park too, and a big crowd, Langwarren and Seaford, 2 teams that we're predicting will be in the finals.
Yeah, I reckon Langy. I reckon Seaford will be right up there and they're about. It'd be a good test to see where they're actually at and how much Seaford have improved, but I think Langy at home.
Yeah, I'm going Langy too. I think that'll be a game where it's decided by, in the last 10 minutes, that match.
And on Saturday, 2 men with big backgrounds in the Southern Football League coaching against each other. Brad Canavan, Somerville travelling to Hastings. Clint Einsendale making his debut as a coach in the MPNFL.
I'd love to say Hastings, but I just like the way they're going about things. They're making a lot of change down there, and there's a good feel down there at that club, I believe, but I reckon they won't get over Summy.
No, the Summy juggernaut will start round 1. Boom.
Yes, I agree with that. Chelsea and Crib Point, I think Chelsea at home. But
yes.
I expect Crib Point to be pretty competitive throughout the year. Yep. Good coach, Steve Hamill.
Yep, Chelsea at home.
And don't forget to download the GameFace record app for all the latest information on the MPNFL.